Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass and this is another BonkTable podcast report. Today with me is my co-host Cassandra.
Hello.
Did you know where I got the bam, 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 bam from?
I feel like I recognize the cadence, but I don't. I wouldn't feel confident making a guess.
Oh come on, do me at least one guess. Not where I got that from, but where I do it.
Well, I mean, isn't that the way that you introduce your battle reports?
Yeah, it is. I recorded a battle report this morning and I have so many I feel like that intro I should just do as like a massive meme video at this point.
Take every episode and lay all the intros out on top of each other.
Oh god. Oh, and I should turn that part of that video, like the opatency, to 50% so they all layer on top of each other as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I've been screwing around with a bit of editing on another one of my videos that isn't out yet, so we'll see how well editing Mass does.
Nice.
For our wonderful listeners, we will be talking about minis and models and sculpts from Parabellum, because Parabellum has a ton. There's a bunch for each different faction, as you know, as you play, as you buy, as you do whatever the hell you do. And yeah, that's kind of our topic. I suggested this to Cass because I was like, man, some of these minis that are coming out recently are really cool and beautiful to look at. I kind of want to talk about them.
Yeah. And what you didn't realize is that I actually have lots of opinions about the models. So some positive, some negative, if I'm being perfectly honest, because that's what we're the there's a really obvious joke and reference that I could go for there, but I don't want people to think that we're like those kind of things. So like I'm not even going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But we're
what kind of thing?
I like to think we're like the druids of of the conquest community. You know, we're neutral and we're balanced and we're never reactionary and sensationalist.
True neutral. What is?
Yeah. So Fox News in like the early 2000s, their slogan was fair and balanced, which, I mean, without getting into the specifics of it,
was not.
They weren't.
No.
Yeah, but that was it's a funny slogan, especially when you're neither of those things. So like, I always want to go for it, but then it's like,
okay,
that's
if you had to pick a content creator who was true neutral on the alignment spectrum, who was a druid, who would you pick?
That's tough, and especially because now I'm also trying to I can't. It's hard for me to produce a serious answer because I know that we had a conversation similar to this in the Discord at one point, like where people were just fucking around and made something up like that.
I feel like I made an alignment chart as a joke.
Yeah, so my brain is trying to visualize what that was and then pull from that because I feel like the data is going to be more reliable than my spur of the moment pick.
I gotta see if I did.
I wanna feel like I wanna say Ben, but he also has what I would call a spry, puckish wit that I think takes him out of true neutral territory.
I think he's lawful neutral because he does very well doing the rules and such. What the fuck am I in on my phone? I'm trying to see if I could if I built it on my phone as a joke. So I did write this down, or took a screenshot of it because people were posting it. Yeah. So I feel like Ben is more lawful neutral than he is true neutral or good. I think he does a really good job explaining tactic, strategy, and rules, and what he's doing and why, and how that all ended up where. I think he does a fantastic job with that.
I don't think anybody's neutral. I think all the big content creators for Conquest just kind of circle that middle square like a toilet was the analogy that I intuitively went for.
No one can claim it.
Yeah, I just don't think everybody's got, everybody's putting a little English on it,
everything is boat. Like I feel like I did this on my phone at one point because it was annoying to do, but then also I know myself well enough that if it was too hard to do on my phone, I would have just sat down and did it on my laptop. And I know for sure I'm not going to find that.
For a couple of years, I just didn't have a PC like at home for various reasons. So I'm like, I've gotten so used to making crappy little memes on my phone that when I have to do it on my computer now, I'm like my hands have just forgotten like PC image editing workflows, but like this like shitty little app that is certainly giving my data to someone that I downloaded 5 years ago and just has become my de facto image editing app on phone. Like I can crank out memes so fast that people remark, why does she always have a meme for them? And the reason why is because I made it really quickly.
What the fuck? Oh, is this it?
Well, that's it. This episode is about the alignment chart now.
Oh my god, the alignment chart of content creators.
I just had the worst idea.
I found it! I found it! I found it!
Oh yeah, see now we don't have to worry. Now we don't have to think
it
for ourselves because the computer gave us a picture.
Supposedly I said I used paste or past. I don't know what the fuck I was writing. Jesus Christ. Okay. So yeah, I put competent conquest as lawful neutral. So I said true neutral is joshing around in Aya. Yeah, because I think they're actually like that's a pretty good spot for them, to be honest. They're pretty good. They're pretty good at like just doing all comers and stuff. Yeah, I'm not sharing this. Like the actual results. Ooh, I might even delete this.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch of those. A bunch of those tiles are just like.
Oh, this is rough. Like no one will like where they are.
Sometimes a funny little joke. What I like.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because I made the
It's essentially people who are gonna listen to this are gonna watch this go from like a stupid idea to a waste of time to a bad idea to a liability in real time.
Yeah, because I forget someone like posted an anime girl on Copium, and that's where I put like the BonkTable art guy on Copium, and I spent way too fucking long cutting out the Copium mask off of the Pepe frog. I totally did this on my laptop. I had to. There's no way, because I remember doing this stupid cutout. So yeah, like I'm making memes and shit. It's so dumb. Yeah, no. If you want to know if you're a content creator where you sit on this alignment chart, DM me and maybe you're on it. It only has 9 spots, so or make your own and let me know where you think everyone is. But yeah, Josh, you're out. You got true neutral because I think you were the most. I don't want to say most appropriate, but like the Josh Yarn and Aya guys really cover a lot of good stuff. They're really easy to get into. They provide a lot of good information, and they're just fun to be around and do stuff with. So I think they really earned that spot. There we go. It's my tier list.
Hell yeah, content creator tier list. This has gone from a Conquest podcast to just talking about our friends who play Conquest.
Yeah, that's the actual episode.
It's like a parasocial relationship on top of a parasocial relationship for the listener.
Yeah. What the fuck was it? I for some stupid reason I got into watching Grubby, who does Warcraft 3 video content on YouTube, and he made like a bajillion tier lists about stuff, and I started watching all of them, and like I played a lot of Warcraft 3 when I was a kid. That really got me into video games, that really got me into strategy games, and I even played it as an adult. I played on Battle.net. I played it into like from like a little kid from 8 to like a teenager to a young adult, and like I'm pretty sure the last time I touched it I was probably like 25, so it wasn't too long ago. But it was just really funny, like, looking at him do all these tier lists for things that, like, I have a very good understanding about and what it does. And I'm like, oh my god, like, someone has all this information and stuff. And, like, doing it. I'm like, I love this. So that's how I've been wasting my days while I edit videos. It's like, I'll just turn on one of those and kind of listen/watch it while I edit. So now I'm like, oh, I should make a bunch of tier lists about Conquest. This is what I've evolved into. Tier list creator.
Tier pilled list cell.
Yeah, no, man, we should do more tier lists. If you love tier list content, let us know.
Yeah, let's just absolutely descend into hackdom.
Yeah, we sell out. We're not even gonna get sponsored. We're already selling out.
Yeah, for no money, I'm gonna start doing the soy face that I told you I was never gonna do in front of a
oh yeah,
a Leonine avatar. I guess I don't know, just everything that they put out.
Oh yeah, the one thing you told me when we first started that would break us. That like you're like, you're not allowed to do this. I'm like, okay.
If you make me soy face in front of something, I'm gonna quit. And then I had to spend 10 minutes explaining what a soy face is because Mass used to be a pretty normal guy before I came along.
No.
In many ways.
I just hit it better.
I mean, yeah, I suppose there's some truth to that, but it's still, sometimes things happen, I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't have told the normal about this.
I'm like, I'm learning! I'm in danger!
Yeah.
Jesus. Alright, so for Parabellum news, there's a lore spotlight for the Fate of the Centaurs, the Prodormioi and the Kirikis. These are the light and medium centaurs for Old Dominion. I have not read the lore on this. I literally just opened up the page and was like, hey, there's a lore spotlight. That looks cool. I really like the artwork on it, to be honest. And I'll probably read it after the cast. So, I just want everyone who is listening to know that there's lore out. You should go read it. It's pretty good stuff. Stravos does a great job.
Yeah.
I guess we're going to get into our topic. Do you want to do this, like, faction by faction? We can talk about some of the minis we like and dislike, all the cool stuff that Parabellum does on its miniatures front?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to start with 100k?
Of course.
Oh, okay, sweet.
I literally started clicking on, well, it's like, because they're
the number one. They have
regular guys.
They have one in the title, in their name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then 100 in kingdoms, so. Here's the thing, you know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah. I have this all sorted by prices low to high, and I have tabs already open for all the factions in, I guess, order?
Not me. You're gonna hear me clicking around and.
Okay, I was gonna be like, maybe I'll help Cassandra to speed this up. No.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Do you want me to talk about this one? Because this is, or to start talking? Because this is the one obviously the faction I picked.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to lead on this one, I guess we can kind of cover. We can lead the ones that we play, and then
like kind of
just chip away at the rest of the shit.
Yeah. So, with 100k, I really like Medieval Knights and the whole medieval setting and the whole medieval theme they got going on. And so, yeah, 100k really drew me in. They do a really good job adding in some of their older historical designs. So, like, we know 100 Kingdoms are refugees from the Old Dominion. The Imperial Officer kind of looks like more towards Roman legionary-esque design. Like, he has a little bit of stylization towards that, while also keeping his medieval theme. Like, he's got his, like, battle skirt and everything, while some people wear more pants. So I do like that, like, you know, showing the heritage of where they came from is still in there. I like the Errant of the Order of the Shield, because this guy looks like he's an adventurer. Like, just, he's got, like, his coat on, he's got some armored shoulders, he's got his hammer, he's got his shield. He's more lightly armored, but still has armor in places that matter. Because he's doing a lot of adventuring, he's running around a lot more. He's not going to be, like, wearing heavy plate mail armor all the time, while, like, basically fending for himself. It's going to be way too heavy down, while more of the well-supplied minis, like Household Knights, more of the Cav guys, even some of the foot troops who are relying more on, like, supplies and have money backing them all the time, are going to be more heavily armored, and that shows because they're not worried about so much, like, oh, I have to get from, like, town to town to live, or oh, we're not like, you know, we're a little bit poorer, so we're not going to have as good gear. Like, the seasoned veteran, I also really like his design. I like his pose. He's just, like, ready for a fight, but he's using a shield block. I tend to find a lot of minis are, like, in a heroic action pose, but they're more offensively styled, while this one is like more defensively restyled. Like he's going to take a hit on the shield and he's going to stab you. I like his mini. He's also like very heavily armored, although he should be wearing a helmet. Chapter Mage. Man, I need a
boob window.
Boob window. Like, I'm sorry, this lady's getting shot on the battlefield. She's dead.
What I like about this model, first of all, is that it was so egregious that PB was like, no, we're going to pull it back for future models. And second of all, in the overall scheme of things, like, her look is pretty tame.
It's just the boob window.
It's just the big hooter window is so... The sunroof for boobs is so jarring.
I look up and I can still see her boobs. Yeah. That's how big they are.
Yeah, and the glare.
When you put no oil gloss on the boob window and people are being blinded, that's how you win games.
Yeah, so that, like, I'm sorry to drag this because they actually did address it, but, like, it was such a crazy, egregious design decision that it is really funny that it's just, like, and because molds cost so much, like, it's going to be there for a while. It's going to be there until they recoup, what, 20 or 30,000? Well, I mean, it's resin, right? So I guess maybe probably $5,000 or $10,000, but still, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, it's okay. I already bought 2 of them. I got my boob windows locked in.
But I do feel like, I'm sorry, I'm just going to take over and comment on a couple things that you brought up before we move on. Piece by piece. What I do think is that the chapter mage and her, her huge shelf, what I think she paved the way for, weirdly enough, is the the non-binary noble lord on foot.
Oh, Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah. So I know that they've said that PB has said that it's a girl, which, I'm not going to try to claim her as anything else, but in my head it was always it was sort of whatever you wanted them to be, they work type of model, because it's just ambiguous enough, but you can really, depending on how you paint it and everything, accentuate it to look how you want. That really kicked ass. I've said more than a few times that that's something that I think is good to see in this game whenever it shows up. So I think the fact that they gave such a to me really queer coded character model is cool. They didn't have to and they did it. So I always like that.
Yeah, I do like the Brienne of Tarth model.
Yeah, I think it's a great model. The other thing is that I wanted to talk... Well, a couple things. First of all, I've got to get a quick stupid joke in there because it's the Cassandra portion of the discussion. Dilf Daddy Order of the Shield. I like that whole thing.
What? I mean... Say that again for me. My ears broke. Say that again.
Well, I just said... I don't actually like this is the thing. I only like it in the abstract, but Dilf Daddy Order of the Shield. Look at him. That guy, he's going to save your ass, and he's going to be a little bit mean about it, but but in a nice way,
When Parabellum brings out their RPG, you should be able to play as an errant of the Order of the Shield. This guy just screams adventurer, and his whole backstory lore is that he is effectively a folk hero who shows up and kind of saves the day. That's why militia take him. Oh my god, his mace is 2... I don't know if you've looked at the page. It's 2 heads back to back, and they're screaming, and then they have the metal binding as a blind.
It really reminds me of
That's actually really good. I like that. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's one part of the design I really like as well. It reminds me of how menus and GUIs looked in 1990s point-and-click adventure games. So I'm really into that.
Yeah.
That's one for the heads. I feel like all the other mid-30-year-olds who listen to this are going to really enjoy that reference. So that one's for you, boys.
I might just pick up one of these guys just to paint.
Yeah, it's a sick model. I think it does look really cool. You mentioned... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Another thing I wanted to touch on is you mentioned that one of the models has design touches from Old Dominion.
Yeah, it's the Imperial Officer. I really like him. And the piece can't be loaded.
So you see that in in a lot of the factions, especially the ones that came from the Old Dominion originally or stemmed from it or branched off from it, as the case may be. Like you see those little design touches that indicate that there's that like provenance, which I really appreciate. I remember some people were complaining that like the statue pieces on the big city states models look too much like the statue brutes from the Old Dominion line, and it's like, no, don't you get it?
Yeah, like this is their history being modern. Like I don't know if it's called modernized, but it's still showing bits of their past in their modern design. Like he really stands out. Like the skirt just says Roman, the sword says Roman, his shoulder pad, well, his left shoulder pad says Roman, the boar one not so much, but that's okay. Like he just kind of screams like a modern, like if Rome kept going and didn't get eaten by barbarians.
Yeah, and that's and I will touch on it more when we get to Old Dominion. But they're the Vanguard have, since they're supposed to be Nord guys, they look Nordy. You know, that's
the Varangian Guard.
Yeah.
Don't they have like?
Sorry, I was using a Warhammer word there, but yeah, the Varangian Guard is what I meant to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but they look they have those design touches, so it's like you can, and there's it's like how there's a version. I'm thinking the version of the item the item that I'm thinking of that makes the reference to it is the Blades of Eacides in, I think, City States, but like a bunch of the human cultures have variants of that name, so it's like they've all sort of like converted the pre-existing mythologies to their current culture. Anyway, it's all obviously one of these motherfuckers at Parabellum has like a master's in history and is just getting their full use out of it. So
that would be Stravos. I talked to that guy at Adepticon. My God, let this man cook and let this man bring us more lore and factions, because like it's just gonna get good. He is so great at just intertwining everything together and twisting stuff and doing all those small details that if you look for it, they're there.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Knoll Mage really quick? This guy looks like he is a level 2 adventurer smoking level 10 magic.
He so honestly, just on strictly on aesthetic, you already know. I don't like this. I don't. This looks like
This is
he looks like an like a 4-star pull in a shitty gacha mobile phone game.
Oh man, this poor guy.
And his name is like you get his name is like Terry, and it's like there's a big animation, and it's like he's got a purple border, and it's like Mystic Terry, and it's like, oh, I don't. This isn't a good. This was a waste of $6.
Yeah, I don't. He's got okay, so he's got like 4, like about 3.5 focal points. He's got his little fire crown. He's got his water cup. He's got his wind feet, and he's holding a wooden mask. Like, he's also got a crossbow on his back. Like, what are you doing? Like, I know you're part of the Hunter Cadre. I know you're supposed to be there for anti-magic, but like, this guy kind of screams hedge mage, and he like I wouldn't be surprised if he cast a spell and it exploded in his face.
Yeah, there's just it's just aesthetically too busy and not for any.
I feel like he's dry. Like he's trying to do something with the water, but like the rest of him just feels so meh.
Yeah, the crown thing is just. I don't like any of it. I don't like any of it.
Go back. Do the Knoll Mage again. Put a boob window on him. Done.
Yeah,
next.
Throw a boob window on that guy and I'm back in.
Yeah, put a boob window on him.
I mean, if they're really brave, a ball window, but nobody's ready to have that conversation.
What else we got here? For regiments? I gotta go with some of the minis that drew me into the game to get. The Merc crossbows really drew me in. I kind of liked that they were armored shooting. Like, they got that breastplate, they got the knee pads, they got the little helmet. Stat wise, that's not true at all. They do not have armor, but they look actually kind of like an armored shooting regiment just because of like their armored plating. While that's got to load. Men at Arms. I know that the chest piece on some of them is gambeson, what's an actual historical thing, what's basically like this cloth armor that people would wear that was like easier and cheaper to produce, and it would like when you actually went into battle, you wouldn't want to sharpen your blade to a razor's edge because it would just dull out really quick. And so gambeson against a blade that's been in a fight will actually protect you because it won't slash through you. And then, and because it's dull, the cloth in it might not allow it to penetrate. Like, you're still going to get bludgeoned and hurt, but it's not going to pierce your innards. So, like, they're wearing gambeson, and some of them are wearing breastplates and such. But, like, I feel like the Merc crossbows have better defensive wear than the Men-at-Arms at times for a couple of their minis.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Also, the Men-at-Arms. So, the Men-at-Arms are really posable, kind of, sort of, but this is a very dated mini, and it really tells. And they're one of the ones where I'm like, if someone was like, we need an update for 100k, it's like, just give it to the Men-at-Arms and Militia.
Yeah,
they're not bad. They really fit the aesthetic of being like just men at arms, like whoever grabbed a sword and shield and got to war, and the militia just being like the townsfolk defending themselves. Like they do fit that role. They do give that feeling. But Parabellum has put out such good minis over the past couple years that like they're just really like going beyond and above the earlier stuff.
Yeah. The experience I had with Men-at-Arms feel a lot like an old school GW plastic kit where they were very like a lot more posable than with the direction that PB has gone in with their more recent sculpts. And I don't think that one is better or worse. Like they both have their merits. But the issue that I ran into with the Men-at-Arms, because when I first got into this in the very beginning, I bought the 2-player like Spires versus 100 Kingdoms box set in addition to like way too much other stuff for somebody who wasn't sure if they were even going to be able to find people to play the game with. But that's neither here nor there. I also just wanted to build some models, whatever. So the problem is, though, if you're listening to this, you've probably built some Parabellum models, which means you've probably been on the Discord to complain about the packed-in instructions, and they're pretty good now. If you've been building modern kits, the instructions are actually decent, but back in this time, they were pretty much like
not that great.
Yeah, you were pretty free to make your own mistakes and learn your way through it. And so I didn't realize how all the torsos and legs matched up. So like instead of having like gambeson guys and plate guys, I've got guys who are wearing like tank tops, and I got guys who are wearing skirts, and I got guys who are wearing none of those things. Like there's no rhyme or reason to the combinations. So something to be wary of, but. I don't know, these old line infantry kits are charming enough, but yeah, they probably could stand to be redone.
Yeah, and so what's actually really funny is I just started slapping parts together like you did. I didn't even care. I was like, yeah, good enough.
Mm.
So that takes us to my next favorite mini that got me into 100k is the Steel Legion. They're actually pretty heavily armored. Like, they feel like foot knights and kind of do what you would expect from, like, a bunch of knights on foot. However, they are a legion. Their aesthetic, I also like. Like, they have, like, like their spiky halter on one end, while the other one's, like, flat, where their, like, swinging arm is. I really like their big-ass sword. They go, like... Steel Legion... They're not too bad to build. Sometimes their hands like to do wonky stuff, but if you just use a little bit of green stuff into the joints, you can actually like get them together and like build them pretty quick. They weren't too bad. Household Guard and Guild Legion are a little tough, and you got to use a lot more green stuff because you're like kind of pinning everything and then like putting little drops of glue so it all hardens. That's kind of how I do it. But like this is one of the regiments that got me into the game. It was like Merc Crossbow, Steel Legion, and what the heck was it? The last one, Household Knights. So I really like their design. I like how simple it is and how like their presentation is pretty good as well. Like they have very good, like that is Steel Legion on the table. It's hard to mix them up with other stuff in 100k. For Household Knights, there's a big ass banner with a lion's head on it, what really pops. And they are actually super easy to build and have some good aesthetics on their minis and how you can just paint them however you feel with their colors and everything because you want to make them like a color parade because they're just a bunch of different knights who come from a bunch of different houses.
Yep. And there's a good you can get a lot of poses out of those old Household Knight kits too.
Yeah, that's also a really good one. Like Household Knights is a kit that still stands up to this day. What's really nice and is also really easy to build and has a really good aesthetic. Mounted Squires are very similar. My issue with Mounted Squires is that they are so much smaller than the rest of the cavalry. Like they feel tiny. Like Household Knights, we'll get to Seal Temple, are like, there's your medium cab, Crimson Towers, Ashen Dawn, your heavy cab. Like, Mounted Squires feel so tiny that I don't even feel like they're light cab at that point. I feel like they're just four-legged footmen. Yeah. So I know for mine, I went and like cut off a bunch of shoulders and like kind of beefed them out and everything. What worked really well to like kind of bulk them out so they didn't feel as small. Yeah. But that's my only real issue with Mounted Squires. They also don't really have that great of a head selection, and their swords feel really tiny. Like they just like feel a little derpy. Their horses look beautiful. I really like that, but there's just like small minis is what I'm feeling. Crimson Towers, fuck. This is so. I shit on. I don't want to say shit on, but I dislike the Crimson Towers like rules wise. I love their minis. Like this feels like Shock Cav. Like they look fantastic. I like how they have like this heavy knight aesthetic, like this dark knight aesthetic with their like crowned helmets and like all the spikes and their weird little metal side skirts they got going on. Yeah. I like how front loaded their horses are and armor and barding. Their lances are also like pretty sweet. There's like a coiled one what I love to put onto stuff. And the one guy with the flail. They also have like big metal shields, and they have some really nice shield design. Can I get a picture of their shields? That's actually not a bad one. Like the one with the double swords on it, I enjoy painting up, or the one with like the half sun coming out of it. I really like Crimson Towers for the mini design. I think this is one of their best kits, especially in 100k. I think this is probably the best 100k kit that they've produced.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent looking kit.
I'm just going to talk about Ashen Dawn and Seal Temple, and then we'll go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Seal Temple were actually really easy. Oh, yeah. Crimson Tower, Seal Temple, and Ashen Dawn were surprisingly easy to build. Seal Temple, my only issue with Seal Temple, I like their minis. I painted the cloth in a variety of, like, mixed colors, so it wasn't as straight, like, to see that it's cloth. Because, like, when you look at it just as cloth, they kind of feel less defended than you might think. Like they don't have the same level of barding as like Household Knights do, and they're the same defense. So I feel like they should be weaker defense wise. However, my big issue with them is that I feel like their sword lance is very like it's not durable enough. Like I feel like I'm gonna snap that thing. Like I haven't snapped it yet, but I'm just always worried that one of their sword lances is going to snap on me finally, because I just feel like it's going to. They're kind of like, they're not flimsy, like, oh, it's going to snap easily, but it's like, you don't trust it. That's kind of it with them. But besides that, they actually look pretty good. I like their weird like cathedral helmets.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that design.
Yeah, I mean, all the Order Knights are pretty on point. I mean, all the Knights in general, but especially the Orders. I have no complaints there. If there weren't options that were more compelling to me, like I would probably play a horseless just because I like
You're
people on horses. Yeah, exactly. I'm a horse girl for sure, and definitely armor and fighting on a horse is equally compelling to me. So, but alas,
Yeah. So we get into Ashen Dawn. Ashen Dawn kit was really easy to make and glue. There's basically no posability in this kit at all. They feel really beefy and bulky, what's really nice. However, the mini itself is super busy. There is a lot going on and a lot of detail. Like if someone came up to me and said, "Hey, I need you to paint this mini as studio quality," I'd be losing my mind. It is so much small detail on these guys, and where they have all their design, where there's color changes, where they do shadings and gradients. I'm like, I'd be losing my mind. Like, it took me about, I think I was doing on average like 6 to 8 hours per one Ashen Dawn when I was painting them myself.
damn.
So like, if you want a really deep project, paint like 10 to 12 of these guys and then come back to me. But there's a lot going on here. This is a lot of work to paint them. I know some people had problems with the plow helmet on the horses, where they're just like pyramid head. It's grown on me at this point, where I actually like them. And but also, like, there's the guy like in the picture on the e-store on the right who's like kind of like more of a skeleton. He reminds me of like Skull Knight from Berserk. So like, I do like these minis. They're just a huge pain in the ass to paint because they're so detailed and so just, there's so much going on them. Like, their banner has like a skeleton ribs on there. Like, what the fuck is that?
It's a skeleton.
Like, there's a lot going on these guys, and that's like, but they are beautiful minis. It's just, if you want them after you're done painting to look really good, you're gonna have to put a lot of work into them. However, I do like them. So yeah, I like how the direction 100 Kingdom's going. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think that they've got a strong aesthetic and it's well executed overall. I think the orders are really the highlight of the line in many ways, but I don't know where else you'd focus it. Like, I think so. Their line infantry in the 100 Kingdoms does have a problem of being a little bit samey, and I don't know how much of that is dual kits and how much of that is just the way it shook out in any case. But it's not bad. Like, even the stuff that isn't, like, the worst sin that the 100 Kingdom commits in terms of their model design is being boring sometimes, I would say. So,
Okay, what's a boring kit?
well, Man at Arms.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. What's another one?
Like Imperial Rangers, Household Guard, and Gilded Legion, I think, are just kind of samey and not really like. Even like Steel Legion, you look at them and you're like, whoa, a bunch of knights on foot with big old swords. Like, that's cool. I want to know more about those guys. But you see a bunch of just like
Spear boys?
dandy, like a legion of dandies with pikes, and you're just, okay, what are these guys? Okay, that's that's the way you react to it. Like, you're listening to this right now, and if you imagine, like, okay, let's stop. You, the listener, I want you to imagine 24 guys with puffy pants and pikes. What's your reaction?
The Swiss guard for the Pope.
It's okay. It's always just okay. No, but I don't know. So those I think are like would probably be the big weaknesses of the 100 Kingdoms line, but otherwise everything else is like, it's cool enough. If you like that Middle Ages-y medieval aesthetic, then you're gonna like what they've got to offer.
Yeah. I also think 100K suffers from being the first faction. So a lot of their stuff is old. Like,
Yeah.
especially compared to, I want to say, like, Wadroon onward. Because I want to say really it was Wadroon where the kits started to get a lot better.
Yeah.
Especially baseline. Like, I feel like 100K is... Them and Spires are the big two losers on the new model front. Or, sorry, not the new model front, but... Well, yes, and on the new model front, but, like, having older minis. Like they do suffer from it, from the level of quality that's been shown that Parabellum has been able to produce as years went on.
Yeah.
So maybe like hopefully this gets updated one day. Like it's weird because their crappy minis still fit the aesthetic of the faction. Like it still works at 100K. What's fucking weird.
But like also, you know, so you look at studio painted minis of just boring line inventory on the website, and you're like, wow, I've really got to do a lot of work on these just regular ass dudes. But in the grand scheme of things, like they don't have to be incredible models because you're probably not going to lavish a whole bunch of individual detail on like your men at arms. So like, it's fine if they're just a little bit boring, you know?
Yeah, and like I think that adds to it a bit. Like if you're a painter who wants to build up maybe some more self-confidence, like whenever I get asked from people who are like, how do I start painting? And I'm like, do you wanna okay, I'm like, so go to GW, go buy a box of Space Marines and paint those up. But they're like, I don't even play Space Marines, I don't even like want to do GW. I'm like, yeah, but Space Marines are the easiest thing to paint, and you're gonna build a bunch of confidence and learn how to put paint onto minis. And doing that with like Space Marines is one of the easiest things to do because Space Marines are super easy to paint.
Yeah.
You could say the same thing with Men at Arms. If you, I don't know, maybe you have the old 2-player starter set between 100K and Spires, and you're a Spires player, and you want to paint your Spires well and have them really presentable and feel proud of them, but you don't have very good painting skills or you don't feel confident in your work. Man, just start painting up the Men at Arms. Really, like they take paint very well. Even if they look like crap, they always look like crap. So you're not. It doesn't look bad at all. They look great. And when it's really just like you just got to start putting paint to model, and you will progress and get better as years go on.
Yeah.
Mongo Spires.
Let's hit it.
Okay, bye 100K. Hi Spires. You want to talk about these guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So overall, I mean, in the broad strokes for the aesthetic of the faction, I would say that they have a very body horror inspired design. A lot of like sort of insectile and more, I guess, sort of utilitarian, almost bioorganic aesthetics, I think.
Some H.G. Geiger. Yeah, I think his name was Geiger.
Yeah,
Going on some alien.
I mean, yeah. The story for what inspired him to design the xenomorph, I can't talk about on the podcast, like just straight up. But
it's that messed up.
No, it's really cool, but it is just like I think it's beyond the scope of this podcast. But you know, look it up if you want because I think it's a great story. But nonetheless, so looking at the characters here, like I don't know. Sorry, I still want to give some broad points about the aesthetic of the Spires and just overall. So their design has come a long way overall. The initial designs had a mushiness problem, I think, and that's something that I want to speak more generally to about the model aesthetics of Conquest as a game when it makes more sense to. But like, you're so starting from we'll start from the line infantry just to keep things fresh and exciting. Like their force-grown drones are just like yucky little guys with rags of tissue on them and weird little fleshy bony shields and a spear. They've kind of got the men-at-arms problem, but they're an even less distinct or unique or
they don't pop.
Again, it's hard to make out, like there's not a lot of crisp detailing on them, so they don't really cut a distinct look in a lot of ways. And then when you see art from PB, like how they made that one force-grown drone their mascot.
Oh yeah, the computer guy.
Yeah, and then you see him and you're like, oh, it's a little mask. So that's kind of my problem with them, but like that's again I think if there's a unit where that kind of suits it, then that's the one. They have another. So the Spires, also early Spires models, and I'm looking at the characters. You can see it in really sharp relief on the shop page. Like predicts one of the big problems of PB in general, and that is like the models are very busy. And it's to the point where it gets to be a little bit hard to read, which is going to make me sound like a broken record because I made that complaint about some of the art too, but I think it's equally valid here. Like the Ward Preceptor.
Oh
At a
yeah,
glance,
he
what the hell is
blends.
going on there? Yeah, and the paint job is part of it, but it's just there's a lot going on, and it's hard to like
I feel like he's
easily contextualize it.
I feel like he's hiding in the background of his like little shot on the e-store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a lot of stuff that you need to parse before you can really make sense of it. So that makes it tough, to me anyway. But there's a lot of cool little touches too. Like I like that the Ferromancer has on his back he's got his air lungs on the outside, and they're kind of gill-like structures, or not gill. Yeah, maybe they are gill-like. I don't know. But anyway, it looks like his lungs are on the outside. I've always thought that was really great. Yeah, the Mimetic Assassin, Catabolic Node, just mushy meat men for the most part. The Assault Preceptor, Biomancer, you can tell those are more modern style models, and they are quite a bit easier to read. But the Biomancer and especially is still quite busy.
He's too much of like a rectangle into a pyramid at the top.
Yeah.
Like that's like if I had to put him into a shape, he kind of does that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't silhouette very well.
And that's the other, like the Vanguard clones and drones and blowns and all whatnot.
So,
they all just kind of.
Can I like hop in here real quick? So I find my issue with Spires is that their infantry models blend super well into one another. Like if someone put Vanguard clones, Onslaught drones, Bound clones, Marksman clones, Force-grown drones all in a line, or in a big pile on their stands, all lined up like 12 in a box, like if they were baking one regiment, like if they're transportation, it's very hard to know by a glance which one is which. Bound clones, Vanguard clones, and Onslaught drones look very similar to each other.
Yeah.
Vanguard clones get away with it a little bit because they have the double crossbows. Marksman clones are probably them and the Force-grown drones are the easiest to figure out just because of their weaponry being like the only spear regiment and the only big longbow regiment. So they don't tie very well into the like Vanguard and Bound clones like sword and shield thing going on, and the Onslaughts kind of get swept up in there because they're running like double punch dagger. Because I find they're just like the bodies themselves, the main parts of the minis, all just blend together, especially on the table from like 3 feet away. Where there's times where I'm like, is that Onslaughts? Is that Bound opponent? What is that?
Yeah,
it's hard to tell. While
100%.
I feel in other factions, the regiments are very distinct from each other, and so you can tell at a glance what each thing is. Spires, I feel, mushes really well. Like Spires doesn't have the same issue when they have their brutes and monsters. Those ones I find are very distinct and easy to know what it is. But I find they're just foot troops. They're just, like they blend all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Now the Lineage Highborn. The High Clone Executor, I feel like, is an early design where they tried to split the difference between like Spires design and a more familiar human design, and it didn't really. It went the way it went.
He's not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
That's his actual face. Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. But the Lineage Highborn I love in theory, but and this is another reference that I think is not necessarily going to get is not necessarily going to be a widespread hit, but like something about the Avatar aesthetic in general evokes Mother Brain from the cartoon Captain N the Game Master from the
What the
1990s.
fuck?
Oh yeah, this is way too old for you, I'm sorry to say, but it was this cartoon about this kid who got warped into the Nintendo world where he was Captain N, the Game Master. And he had to go on Nintendo adventures where he would defeat Nintendo villains like Mother Brain from Metroid and
Oh my god.
the Eggplant Wizard from Kid Icarus and a bunch of stuff. And there was like, it was just like it was sort of a loose mix of Nintendo guys. Like it was like Kid Icarus was there and like Mother Brain was there, but Samus wasn't. And Kid Icarus was this gross little guy, and he kept adding a cuss to everything, like that sucks a kiss or whatever if something was bad.
You're telling
and
me they didn't have enough money for Samus, and they had enough money to get the licensing for Mother Brain.
well, that's what's weird is like so these are so far it's mostly first party characters, right? But then you know who else is in there? Simon Belmont from the Command and Castlevania games, and he's like a big stupid himbo. He's like a big vain idiot, and then Mega Man, who's just like a disgusting little weirdo.
Man, I feel like there's a reason why this show never like became a classic that everyone remembers.
It's because the throne of God sits empty. But anyway. I'm going to post a bunch of clips with no context in the Discord for everybody to see after this, provided I remember. But anyway, that's sort of the vibe from the Lineage Highborn and the Avatar is a combination of Mother Brain from the Captain N, the Games Master cartoon, and also the disgusting marionette puppets of the English political satire TV program Spitting Image.
I like the Avatar, just like them.
I like them too. That's the thing.
I like that they look like Renaissance nobility, like especially French Renaissance, like Marie Antoinette before she got her head cut off. Like that's what that really like puts into me whenever I look at them, and I'm just like, I hate you, but also that's really good looking too.
Yeah. And the concept, the concept underpinning the aesthetic is really good. So
yeah, just a terrible fucking video. Still, oh man, can we talk about the Strix and how bad they are?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we wouldn't be able to get away with not talking about how crappy the Strix are in terms of just like.
So here's the thing: aesthetic-wise, lore to model mini concept, great, I love it. Individually, you know what? They look great, I love it. You put these motherfuckers on a stand or try and build them, you might as well just like kill yourself. It's not worth it. Just don't bother.
Yeah, everybody I think who plays Spires pays a cost in toil for the privilege of having a powerful faction when they have to build their 2 units of Strix.
Yeah. If you play Spires, you gotta at least build 2 units of Strix to suffer. It's mandated by joining Spires. Yeah, let me talk about like the line infantry. Desolation drones, weird little bugmen. I kind of like them with their like hunched over shell bodies, and they're like, man, little bugmen.
They're cool. They don't like I'm not freaking out over them, but yeah, they're cool. It's nice that they're kind of getting, branching out in terms of the overall design of infantry like that for Spires. So I don't have any complaints, but I'm not like, it's not making me want to start playing the faction.
No. Lineage Prideborn, what is also $39.99 American. So like, I thought this was an artisan model. I guess not. I think we talked about this with Aaron from Just Roll Runs. This is a really beautiful mini. Like,
to say the least.
Like, there's a lot. So it's not busy, but it's got a great pose, and it has stuff going on with it. So I think this is like a really great aesthetic for it. Like the snake tail. This is a great mini, and I'm really glad Parabellum has done this. It's a resin mini. $40? Jesus.
Yeah, it is a really good price for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they knocked it out of the park with that one. I mean, I'm not going to repeat what I did
No.
said in the last episode, but it is true.
People already know our hot takes on that. Oh, you want to talk about the old abomination?
Oh my fucking god. Yeah. That's another one of those, like, this is a joke about building models in this game. Because there's... Where to start? Sorry, can I give my take on this?
Oh yeah, no, you're all up.
So I built one of these, and I used to... So in the Age of Darkness box set for Horus Heresy, I used to joke to people that the Contemptor Dreadnought was 2 sheets of triangles, and when you put them together, it made a Dreadnought. And this was like... Building an abomination is like if that joke was driving a nail into your genitals and it was real. It's the worst model ever made because it's so posable that it's impossible to pose without it like pinning it and having a really great idea of what you're actually doing, because all the joints are like,
aren't they all ball
like
joints?
all the pieces? Yeah, are ball joints, or it splits at the articulation point, and there's like multiple different little peats that you can put on the ends of the legs to have it stand different ways. I did my best, and mine looked like it was kind of drunk, which like I think worked for the overall lore and everything, but it did look like it was just like staggering around taking like a big wide drunk swing. So yeah, and also it's just I'm sorry, Parabellum, because I love this game. And I don't want to say this, but it's so fucking ugly.
Is this our vote for the worst mini? Is this fucking thing?
Is there even a vote? Like, so the studio paint job also makes it look like a buff guy, which I guess like makes sense. But it doesn't sell the model, and then like the little normal face. I have nothing.
This looks like a bad apostle from Berserk.
I don't want to just be negative like this, but God.
God, someone died.
Put that thing out of its misery.
That's why they did a new one. We'll get to him. He's on the next page. Yeah, I fucking hate this thing. It's so ridiculous.
Like I don't want PB to listen to this with like a single tear rolling down their cheek because I dragged their crappy little model too hard. But holy shit.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you though.
It's just everything. It's literally like everything that's bad about early PB models. Elemental.
Yeah, this is it. Brute drones, I think, suffer from the fact that they are an early sculpt as well. They're not as bad as like the force grown drones or some like the line infantry, because they do have a very particular silhouette. You can see them on the table and they stand out. However, there's nothing inspiring about them when you get in there for any like super big details. But they do their job well.
Yeah, they're pretty boring and normal, but I do think they have a lot of charm for what they are. I heard an apocryphal story that these were originally supposed to be the Onslaught drone designs, and then they got printed at a size up for the purposes of developing the model. And they liked them so much that they just made that the brute drone design.
Yeah.
Which I love if that's true, but like I do think
that is true. I heard it from Stavros.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that is the truth on that one.
I think that's a fun story, so nothing wrong with that. But overall, like, they read pretty clearly. They have a distinct, like, I like that they have sort of like, it feels like almost a sort of sumo-esque aesthetic.
Oh, okay.
In
a way. Thought about them like that. Why?
Well, it's like the top knot, and they're really like, they're all in like grappling poses, and you know.
Yeah, but their weapons are their hands. Their hands are weapons. They don't really get to pick up and eat stuff.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's not 1-to-1. But I think that they've got that sort of like.
They got some heavy petting going on.
They've got that physical aesthetic. Yeah, I think they're a great model. Like a lot of the early PB models for this game do have problems, but some of them are absolute like knockouts, and I think the Brute Drones is one of them for sure.
Yeah, they are pretty good. I do like them. I like they have a little bit of issues, but they still hold up to this day.
It's like Prince said, you don't have to be beautiful to turn me on. And that's the thing. These are the good models in this game don't necessarily have to be amazing looking or super elaborate or be powerful units. Sometimes they just like hit the fundamentals. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to talk over.
No, that was a great quote. That was great. You're just knocking them out of the park today with all these fucking bangers, aren't you?
Well, I don't know. I guess that remains to be seen, but we'll let the people decide.
Centaur Avatara, I think they have like Spires. Anything on their medium or monster bases, I feel are very good minis. Like great silhouette, knocks out of the park, looks good. Like the Brute Drones are probably at the low end, but they suffer from early model design. Like Centaur Avatara, I do like. They kind of look like trains with like their lower part, like the centaur part, looks like a train, or the horse part looks like a train, and then they just have a dude sitting on top. So I kind of like that. They're heavily armored. They got some weird shit going on. They got 4 arms. They're doing all kinds of crazy Spires thing. Like, this is just a good mini. Yeah. Their hands, one of their arms is just straight up the lance. They're just like, I have a stick, and then they have another arm with a sword. Like. This is just a good design. I've seen them played. They really stand out when on the table as well because they're actually very striking on the table. Mm-hmm. They kind of because they got like this mohawk going on, kind of like trying to grab some like wing huskar. I was gonna say huskarls. They're huskers. Hussars. Thank you. Like they kind of have like a winged hussar aesthetic going on, but they're heavy shock cav. Mm-hmm. So these guys, whenever I see them on the table, they're very striking. And I'm like, whoa, there's some Centaur Avatara. Fuck, now I gotta go deal with them. Like, oh. So, they do a really good job of popping on the table. So, I love them. Incarnates, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to me, they look distinct. But, other than that, the aesthetic overall doesn't really do the thing for me. But anyway.
Incarnate
Speaking of designs that don't do the thing for me, Incarnate Sentinels.
Yeah. These guys remind me of the derpy Titans from Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So I'm just getting a good look at them.
You're really soaking it in. You're like, oh yeah, look at their weird, fucked up arms. Their arms are so messed up. No one runs like that.
Yeah, I mean their arms are messed up, but then it's like the positioning of the skull and the where their collarbones meet. You start when you look at it at a glance, you don't read the head above it as a head, and you're just like, well, he's got a goofy little skull for a face. And then you figure it out. Hopefully, with the middle guy, you figure it out that it's a head. The guys on the side, I don't know.
Look at the guy on the left. Look at his knees.
Yeah.
Why is his knee a mouth?
That's a very 90s aesthetic touch to me.
Really? From the 90s? The fuck was going on in the 90s?
Nothing good.
Yeah, considering that people's knees are now mouths. Is that how they eat? Like, Jesus.
So, yeah, their models are too busy. They're kind of...
I don't think they're busy. I just think, like, I feel like maybe these are the models that Brute Drones should have been. If, let's say, Brute Drones were released now, we would have got something similar to this. If you understand my meaning, like, that's kind of like an upgrade path.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like, I don't mind these for Incarnate Sentinels, but I think they might suffer from an older design. Because I remember these guys being out early, except they were $200 and they were made out of resin.
Yeah.
So no one really bought them because they're $200. Leona Avatara, they're, the same thing as the Prideborn. We've already talked about them in the previous cast with Aaron from Just For Runs. Still beautiful minis. They're great. Love them.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Danger Shrimp? Like, this thing doesn't grab me. It's it's like it's too big. It's too much of a fat snake with arms.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, so you're not. I don't think you're wrong there. Overall, it's cool. It's a big model. Like, it's not a terrible model by any means, but I just don't feel like there's a focal detail that makes the whole thing pop off, and that's so it just feels like a big tube, you know?
Yeah,
a tube with extra tubes.
Like, I know people are really excited to see this thing, and I kind of think like, yeah, it does look good, but it doesn't.
It's giving Final Fantasy boss.
And that's not a bad place to be, but I feel like it maybe should have had a better focal point. It might be just the coloring of it, like because Spires uses the white color as its primary color for its faction. It kind of suffers from using white. So maybe if they were like colored a bit better, like Steel Forge from Dweghom have like furnaces in their chests, so they have like this heat generation on their steel. So it actually gives them a focal point, while I feel like some of the Spire stuff, because they're using white and like a more organic look, they don't put that focal point in, or that focal point isn't available to them because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, that doesn't bother me so much. I just feel like with that, the head part of it is just sort of like...
It's not like coming out of its neck, it's just kind of in there.
It's like a beetle's butt with a crown around it. It just... I don't know what I'm... Like, it's so aesthetically, it is cool, but like, it's not the sort of thing where I'm going to look at it and like, my eyes are going to pop out of my head and my arms and legs are going to go flying off my body, you know? You're
not like Beetlejuice, who's like exploding. You're like, whoa!
Yeah. Unfortunately, in spite of my best efforts, I'm still not Beetlejuice.
Alright, let's go on to the 5th anniversary Abomination. I haven't built one of these. I haven't seen one. Well, maybe I've seen one first. I forget. I don't think so. But I think it's... I believe you and I have talked about this mini before. And I think it's a lot better than the old Abomination, just design-wise.
Oh, definitely. It's
got so much more going on. It like really... I feel like it really sells the Abomination a lot more to be this like terrifying thing instead of like a large, fast child running at you. This is like an actual demon running at you, and you're like, oh, fuck no.
Yeah.
Like, I like its weird giant back stinger things that come out front. I don't even know what the hell you'd call those appendages. But like... And also changing the feet into spike legs instead of, I don't know, hands is a lot better, and its big bug butt. Like, it's just a lot better of a mini. And it really pops.
Yeah.
Like if I saw that thing on the table, I'd be like, "That's an Abomination! Holy shit!" And then it would die. But like, holy shit!
Yeah. It definitely is a step up from the other Abomination. Overall, the aesthetic I think is just not hitting for me in general. But if you had the choice between the two, I would say spend a little more and get the nice one.
Yeah, also you don't have to suffer. I think this one hopefully this one builds better.
Oh, it must. Like, there's no reason.
Resin? Yeah, this one has to
build better. The resin fit into 40 million awful little pieces.
Yeah. Here, slap all the legs together and they're all on ball joints. Ah!
Hell on earth.
Yeah. I don't mind Spires' design. I think they 100% do suffer from being one of the first two factions out. But their early stuff suffers, I feel, worse than 100k did. Especially their line infantry. Their brutes and monsters are very much more distinct and inspiring. But yeah.
Yeah. It's not bad, but it's not executed maybe the way that I would have if it had been up to me, but that doesn't fucking matter.
Alright, we'll do Dweghom.
Dweghom.
Okay, Dweghom. Fuck.
Yeah. I mean,
like,
they're dwarfs.
Yeah, they really are. Like, there's not... So there's some minis that have good detailed design. They have really cool fire effects, like the Herald of Fire, the Tempered Sorcerer, and some of them are just like, what happened to you? Like the Tempered Seal Shaper, whenever I look at him, I'm like, why are you trying to emulate Eggman from Sonic? Like, what are you doing?
It's definitely like the posture, the hat, the pointy little shoes. It all just comes together in a way that it's like, if like one of the most powerful wizards in the world
Was an incel.
came out and he looked like that, you'd be like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, I would try to bully him. I would try to bully him. I don't care how powerful he is.
You can't though. He cannot. He can't. He doesn't have to accept duels. That's
fine.
He doesn't. What's this stupid fucking rule he has?
I mean, I know how I would describe the rule amongst friends, and it would be fine.
He's indifferent towards life. He doesn't.
We're united in that regard.
Yeah, like there's some Dweg minis that like look good, and there's other ones that are just like, whatever. That's just a half naked dwarf. Like the Minomancer Apprentice. What are you writing? I don't even know if that's a good board to write on. That thing looks messed up for like a writing stone.
Well,
however, like the Herald of Magma looks like this Mad Max warrior kind of guy. It looks fucking sweet as like a rage dwarf.
Yeah. By almost necessity, I feel like the dwarf archetype in every game almost really like, you have to like the thing that they do because you're going to be getting a lot of it, and that's for the most part, I think, the case with the Dweg. Even contrasting to Spires, like, and even 100 Kingdoms, like 100 Kingdoms, you're getting guys, you got guys in armor, you got guys on horses, you got guys on horses with armor, like, you've got options.
Mm-hmm.
Spires, you've got varying degrees of disgusting little guys, you've got disgusting big guys, you've got, all the brutes. There's a lot of different like profiles and shapes and aesthetic sort of exploration happening there. And then you've got, on the Dweg side of things, like, you've got tight columns of dwarf.
So,
and
go ahead.
All their armor looks are kind of like unified and aesthetic. Or you've got the drakes, which are because of the way that PB has opted to produce monster models for the most part, like even when they're largely distinct kits, they've kind of like the two drakes. You gotta like that drake design.
So it's the same drake, different head, and it's basically its back piece what is different between the two of them. It's like it's on the same drake body between the Ironclad and the Hellbringer. You choose the back, but you don't choose the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. Let's fucking. I think it's like what, page 2. Because like page 1 is because we're doing this like it's all their characters and stuff, and like they've done improvements. Like the new Hold Ray mini looks better. He's in a more action pose, what makes him kind of pop a little bit more. Especially now that he is in a retinue, he's not like taking some poor guy out in his technical retinue or combat retinue in the head with his freaking axe. But like the thing with Dweg is that because like they're trying to go for, I guess, like a regimental look, so they tend to look very similar, but distinction between regiments themselves, so like internally in the regiment they look pretty good. However, distinction between other regiments kind of crosses over and has a similar problem to Spires, but not as bad. Like I think the biggest contender is actually between the Hold Thanes and the Hold Warriors, because they're coming from the same dual box. Like Dragon Slayers get away with it because of their weapon. Hold Ballistae kind of get dragged into the Hold Thane, Hold Warrior problem, but people can usually figure it out because they have a crossbow. Like so they kind of parse that one off.
I thought Hold Warriors and Hold Ballistae were dual kit, and then Hold Thanes and Dragon Slayers were a dual kit.
Were they? Is it that way? Fuck,
Thought
I don't
so.
even know. Well, it looks like they should be.
Yeah,
No,
at
they
a
kind of.
glance, that looks like.
Yeah, no, they look. Maybe it's written weird on the box I have downstairs because that's what I'm going off. But like, even then, the Hold Warriors and Hold Things kind of blend.
Yeah.
Like that's.
Yeah, that's the thing. They all, generally speaking, have kind of a similar thing going on. Like Initiates have the big shields, so they're a little better.
Yeah, Fireforge have the cans on their shoulders. They stand out. Dragon Slayers have the halberds. They stand out. Like, Flame Berserks are the tight double axes. Warders are the wider, don't really fit well in their stands. Pickaxes. Like, you know, there's distinction, but they all look the same, but they have enough distinction where they don't have the Spires problem.
Yeah. The Flame Berserkers, I think, just so. And I think this is just GW brain poison cascading across all of miniature wargaming in the end. But like Flame Berserkers in particular, like they're a very cool concept for a unit. Like I like that they go down on the pilgrimage and they have to just like
walk through war,
hot forge like replacement limbs and stuff because they're getting so fucked up in the course of their journey to this holy place for them.
Well, they gotta go touch the physical manifestation of war.
Yeah,
that's why they're on fire, is because they touch that. And the ones that survive and come back are flame berserkers, or if they drew their magic from that, like that the embodiment of war on the planet of Ea. So that's how you get your like tempered sorcerers, and we get into like Stoneforge, Steelforge, and some of the other problems, because like Fireforged are failed temper sorcerers. Like, they don't have the same level control a tempered sorcerer does. So instead, they channel their excess magic into the cannons to kind of like control and fire it off in a controlled manner, instead of these guys just randomly exploding.
Yeah.
Like, that's the lore behind it.
It's a cool aesthetic, especially with the burning insides and the metal pieces and everything, the metal prosthesis. Yeah. All very cool, but it's a big ask for when you're, I feel like, painting line infantry in terms of like the details that they're putting for you to highlight there. And that's more of a general, like, that's a broader criticism than just these models itself. But like, I don't know. That's I want to put a bunch of fire effects and stuff on, you know,
like one guy or one big guy, not on like 36 small dudes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because you kind of have to do all their hair, and you might have to do a weapon or two, especially the leader's weapon, who's like a flame sword. It's like, it's a lot of dudes to do that fire effect, and fire effects take a while. Oh, and the banner. Yeah. Look at that fucking thing. Jesus.
Yeah. So that's, I think, that's more of a, I think it's almost like video games where advancements in graphical fidelity became an arms race for no reason other than to say that you're putting up the biggest numbers or the most polygons or the highest degree of realism or the most ray tracing or whatever. Well, it's kind of like the same in miniature models, where the fidelity of plastic casting has gotten to the point where it's like they're loading these models up with so much extra detail, which is great for people who love to paint and want to put studio paint jobs on every single model that they own. But like, I just don't think that there's necessarily needs to be all this shit on just regular line troops for the most part. And that's like very opinion based. But
well, yeah, like, I think before we had this podcast, we talked about how art is subjective, so this is another thing, like, model design is subjective. One of my big issues with Dweghom is actually the building of the minis. Like, Fireforge, Hold Thanes, Dragon Slayers, they're very notorious as bad kits to build. Like, I've built 2 Fireforge and then like 3 boxes of Flame Berserkers recently. The Fireforge were so awful to build. The Flame Berserkers I just cut out and glued, like, slapped them all together and called it a day. I just didn't give a shit anymore after suffering through Fireforge. But I've also built Flame Berserkers for another buddy, and it's like the same problem with like how bad they are compared to with Fireforge. Like, it's just
Yeah.
They have these weird hollow bodies. So to like get their girth, like the yeah, the kits like in the skew, and you cut them out. You kind of like glue two pieces together to give like its arching hollowness, and then you kind of glue the arms on the side so that it has like this more kind of fat like dwarven body. Like that's how they get that it to look that way, but it's just a pain in the ass to like glue these very fine points together to try and make it this hollow shape.
Mm-hmm.
So that's some of the issues that Dweghom Minis have, and it's just kind of awful. I think they've improved it. I gotta go build some Steelforge at some point, but like the Steelforge Minis look way better. Like the Drakes were actually super easy to build. I built like the Ironclad and the Hellbringer. I really like the Ironclad as a mini. I like all its fucking banners and ribbons and how out it is, and just like how like I'm a big ass Drake, melee Drake, and you know I like it.
Yeah.
Hellbringer Drake, I don't I like, but it's not on the same level as I do with the Ironclad. Like the Ironclad, I feel takes it away from me.
Mm-hmm.
As kind of like one of the better minis for Dweghom, especially the Steelforge. Man, Steelforge, super cool. Also, earlier in this episode, I talked about the focal point. There it is with the blah blah blah, the furnace. Like,
yeah,
because there's a guy in there. That's why they have resolve. It's not like an automaton.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're like the ones that they get back that are 2 damaged from doing the pilgrimage, they throw into the Steelforge. And then they pilot it. So they're like Dweghom dreadnoughts is what they kind of are. But I thought was really cool. Like, oh, there's the Warden kit. Like Infernal Automatas, I don't mind. They look cool, but once again, it's now more the fire effect, except it's on brute basis. So you're only painting like 1 per stand, which is also nice, so it's not too bad. But yeah. They're like so aesthetic wise, I feel Dweghom has a good aesthetic. Not a lot of it like pops, but it isn't as bad as Spires where everything blends in. There's a couple things, but I think they do a much better job, and also they have some better standout minis.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I feel like Spires has probably better standout minis, but Dweghom does a pretty good job for standouts as well.
Yeah.
So like I like how Dweghom does stuff, but yeah, as you said, they're dwarves. Like you can only do so much with dwarf. And I feel Parabellum has done a lot for them and how they run their aesthetic, especially with all the fire stuff going on. But I also agree with you; it's kind of a painting nightmare.
Yeah.
So, should we get on to our next faction?
Yeah. What's next?
Oh, it's your favorite.
That could mean anything.
It's Nords.
Nords. All right. Yeah. So the Nords. They're originally, ironically, like normally I don't care about the Viking faction in games. I'm not really a Viking girl. But then I saw the Valkyries, and wow, that changed my opinion. So overall, like I wasn't interested in them to begin with, but I do think the Nords actually have a pretty solidly good take on the Viking aesthetic. People really love the blooded model. I think it's fine. The shaman is very evocative, but it's just a grody old man. The old Jarl was a great kit. The new Jarl even better. They're like all the character models are really solid for the most part.
They all stand out.
Yeah.
What's really good, and I feel like there's enough detail in them where if you really want to paint them in detail, you can. But if you also don't, you can get away with it and do well.
Yeah. Raiders are one of my favorite kits of all time. They're so simple and really stylized, but for just line troops, I think they have a lot of character and they look really great. They're easy to put together. They're like 4 pieces.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. 4 pieces without the header. Sorry, 6 pieces per model to put together. So Yeah, just and they just look good for what they are. Like they're the perfect level of detail for line troops. Yeah, 10 out of 10. One of my favorites of all time. The female Jarl, of course, I have a tremendous amount of fondness for. The reasons for that should be self-evident if you've listened to this podcast, even one other episode other than this one.
Can I say, I like the Shield Biter mini.
Yeah.
This guy's just going, like, you can tell that this guy just landed on the beaches and he's just going hard. Yeah. And he was not afraid of drowning because he's wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, it's a great pose. I can't believe you can still get the old Reticent blooded. That's actually quite surprising.
You're still looking for that female blooded, aren't you?
Yeah, and I'll never. Well, I won't find it for a price that I want to pay. But if you want to be an eternal friend of the podcast, and you have the girl resin from the old what the fuck was that? A Founders Edition?
Probably.
Yeah, and send it to me for no money, and I will honor your name till I die. Which 3 to 5 years, but it'll be a good 3 to 5 years. The Thane is, I think it's neat. I don't know if I kit bash my own Thane that I like more, I think, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, like I find people who kit bash their own stuff will have a much greater attachment to it. Especially like once they're like kit bashed and fully painted, so they hide all like the green stuff in the kit bashing. I find the kit bashes look really, really good once they're done.
Yeah. I mean, this is not bad. It's got a top knot, which I hate, but otherwise it's a cool aesthetic overall.
We already talked about the Poop Man, the Savage, but like every time I see him, I still chuckle.
Yeah, he rules. I mean, that's a great...
He's like, come here, I'm pooping.
Yeah.
Oh man, I like zoomed in on his face. He is like wide eyeing you while you watch him do his business. He's like, I'm coming.
Duking.
Yeah, he's making eye contact.
Yikes.
Yeah, please continue.
I mean, yeah. There's the next page of the store is kind of a like. I don't want to say it's a mixed bag because it's really not, but you can kind of there's a contrast I think in terms of the way the overall designs of the Nords work out. So the Stalkers are an early kit. I don't think they nail it as much as the Raiders do, but they do the trick. Like they're fine. They're a bunch of grody old wild guys, and they look the part. So no worries there. Female Jarl, 20 out of 10. One of my favorite models. I was so happy that this got released.
You own 3 of them.
You would think that I only own the one, but I do. Like I literally. And then she got great rules, and then I was like, cool, well, it's easy enough to run this all the time because I think it looks amazing. And she's on the t-shirt, which I also bought, and I think is great.
Is she on the t-shirt?
Yep. Yeah, she's a character on the shirt.
Oh, shit. I thought it was, like, someone else for Nords.
Nope.
Oh.
The big lady herself.
Oh, well, next time I see you, I'll have to wear it.
Yeah, I mean, I usually... It's not here or there, but usually I do on Christmas night.
No, you've been wearing the Wadroon one.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. I bought both, listeners. Who's girls? Thumbs down. Not a good kit to build. Not, I think, the best looking models by any stretch.
I have heard bad things about building these guys. I actually don't mind their design. Like, I feel like Nords is where Parabellum started to change from their older design and, like, start to update the minis from, like, here on outward.
Yeah, I feel like Huskarls compared to more, like, literally the second half of this page of models in the shop they're a very, like, the original first, like, the first Parabellum kits were a lot more of a heroic scale take on these characters. Like these guys they're in little gorilla poses, and they've got big hands, and like they don't look like they have normal human proportions. Whereas if you go down to the Valkyries and the Bow Chosen and even the Ulfhednar Bearsarks models, like they look a lot more like actual humans and not goofy heroic scale cartoon guys.
Yeah.
But then we move on to the trolls, 20 out of 10. Another just knockout. So much fun to build, so much character in the kits themselves. You get one guy per stand can hold an emotional support rat, which is so great. There's little touches like a guy who's missing an arm and it's just an exposed bone and stuff, and it's just fantastic. They're really nice looking, easy to build. Just everything that you want from a kit is delivered in the trolls. I can't say enough good things.
Vogny Lord?
Yeah, so have you ever seen the 90s live action Beauty and the Beast cartoon? Or not cartoon, but live action show? Where Ron Perlman is the Beast?
No.
Well, this is what this guy looks like.
Yeah. So you know what? I like the Vogny Lord mini.
I'm not crazy about it. It's a little too...
Is it too
it
much beast, not enough beauty?
I mean, you're not entirely wrong with that. Like, it's also the overall, like, the proportions and the aesthetic of the anthropomorphization that they went with is not my cup of tea. Like, it also sort of reminds me of that part in the Thriller music video where Michael Jackson turns into the cat monster. Like, it's a miss for me, you know?
Okay, yeah, no, like, sure. I like him. I think he's fine.
It's fine. I like the physical size of the model. Like, I like how imposing it is. If it had a better head, I would have much better things to say. The big busted sword is cool.
Yeah.
But that head, man.
Maybe she cut off the head and put a female Jarl head on instead.
I mean, but then she would be a pinhead.
Okay.
And there's only one pinhead in the Nords army, and she is making the decisions moment to moment in how the army is being played.
Oh, are you saying that's you?
Yeah. Valkyries, so the model's so hot that they made me completely pivot to another faction.
Is this your 30 out of 10 mini? Because this is the one we got.
This is like 2 million out of 10. I love the Valkyrie models so much. They're absolutely, like, I saw the rule kit, like, I saw the rules in the army list before they came out, and I was like, man, Valkyries are such a sick idea. I hope they execute these aesthetically in a way that I like so that I can buy them. And then they exceeded my wildest hopes. They're just, like, so cool looking. They're like, they're like hot without being titty window.
Not the chapter mage level of hot.
Yeah, and it's like it's an appropriate level of hotness given the position in the lore that they occupy, which is literally that they're trophy wives for demigods.
Well, the vulva is an advisor to the demigod.
Well, I mean, she's more of a she's got more of a developed role, but they themselves are just like a cult of
hot warrior ladies
of hot wives. Yeah,
damn. That's what I knew in my life.
Yeah, I'm here for it, but I think they're just the only thing is I will say, PB hates to design good shield holding arms.
Yeah,
it's an allergy.
They're too casual about their shields. Actually, they do good shield holding on city states, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, the men-at-arms have their shields out, they're like, kill me, please. Like, one guy is totally just, like, shield and sword arm out. He's like, hit me in my chest of Gambison. It's like, okay, guess I'll hit you with my hammer and crush your ribcage. Oops, you're dead.
Yeah. But it's like the Valkyries, so they have a little arm that then glues onto the shoulder of the model, right? Like, that's super normal. But then it's like there's this tiny contact point where their delicate little wrists are supposed to join against the hand, which is holding the shield, which is part of a separate piece. And in practice, it's just like, it's just rough. Like, if I wish that they would, like, take a lesson from GW and add either registration like notches and stuff so that stuff has a place to anchor. or change the design to avoid these like finicky little pinpoint joins in the first place.
Yeah. So yeah, because so in this case, I wouldn't even connect them at their wrist. I would glue the shield to their forearm. That's how I put on shields on my minis, and it just gives them a larger point of contact. But yeah, that does really suck. I do like their headdresses and hair, though. I think they do really well on their heads. Like, they have really good heads.
Yeah.
2 billion out of 10.
Yeah.
Can I talk about Can I talk about one problem with these guys? Whenever I see them on the table, I think they're stalkers, and whenever I see stalkers on the table, I think they're bow chosen.
Yeah.
That's my only issue.
I mean, to me, I don't personally see it, but I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong either.
Okay.
I think the bow chosen is a really excellent kit. They are super easy to build. They look really good.
They're in plastic.
Yeah.
In brackets. I think they were in something else before.
Yeah, there was resin ones.
Oh,
so
God.
That's another $200 kit.
Oh, God. People spend huge money for bow chosen, considering how good they are.
Yeah. Yeah. But, yeah, I think they look good. I like that you get options to make, like, female presenting models and left-handed presenting models. So, like, you have a lot of
I like their
options
armor
for representation. Yeah, their armor looks cool.
Like, what is that? Like, I don't want to... It's like scale mail, kinda?
Yeah,
like, they have, like, scale mail chest plates, and that's it? What kind of looks cool?
Yeah, or those pyramid-shaped rivets.
Yeah, and then they're wearing, like, animal heads and stuff. Like, they got a really good design going on with bow chosen.
Yeah. Ulfhednar and Bearsarks are both... They're really nice-looking models. They build easy. I don't have any complaints there, but there's not really too much to get into on them. Like, they have rotting wolf and bear parts hanging off them, depending on how you build them, and that's the deal.
When Raiders evolve into Ulfnarl, and then Ulfnarl evolves into Bear Sharks, there's, like, your Charmander tier.
Yeah. Exactly.
Ooger! Oogan Ooger! Ooger! Fucking Ooger.
They're just not a good model, I don't think. Like, they're just an old model. Like, the aesthetic is off for me. I don't think, like, I would never look at that and be like,
oh, yeah.
I'm going to run that because it's cool looking.
No, I wouldn't either. Like, I'm pretty sure Ooger, Stalkers, Raiders, Huskarls are all in, like, the one-player starter kit when Nords came out, and it's like you could tell that this is what they made first, and then it's just gotten better since.
Yeah.
Like, Ooger aren't bad. It's just like it's like, oh, that's Ooger over there.
Yeah,
He's
they're
just
not
ooging around.
They're not going to be anybody's favorite models, I don't think.
If Ooger is your favorite model, talk to us in the BonkTable Discord or leave a comment to let us know.
Don't.
Oh, okay.
Freak.
Way too much.
No, if you do, I wanna know who's. I want to look at your Discord bio. And...
Are you gonna DOS them? Like, jeez.
I mean, I'm not gonna rule it out. So on to the last page here. So we've got the wards.
I like them.
Yeah, I think they're cool. I don't like the head designs necessarily. They remind me of the human-faced dogs from Contra 3: The Alien Wars for Super Nintendo.
Oh shit.
But
I like their like hair mohawk coming off their back. They kind of remind me of like small sharks or like predator predator fish. Like, because
a little bit like fins. A cat that's
it's gonna come and get you.
Yeah, I think they're good though. They're a nice, easy build. They're easy to paint up. Just good models. Nothing to just straight fundamentals, you know?
Yeah. This is like I haven't even talked about painting, but that's like a whole other thing. Talking about just the minis themselves.
Yeah. Then we've got the tactical retinue, so you get the shitter, and
is he actually in there?
Yeah.
Oh, he is! Holy crap!
The shitter, and then his two pals. So you get a girl model in there, but it's not the one that I want. So it's frustrating, but I will probably cop that just to have her as who knows what.
She's blowing a horn, so she's got that going for her.
Yeah, and then you got a banner guy who's definitely there.
Actually, that's a pretty good mini. I like the banner guy. He's got a sweet ass banner. He's like walking forward with his like pelvis going out first, with his bare naked chest, with his nipples being hidden. No, they're not being hidden by his beard. And then his axe.
No, but he looks like he's a Viking from the TV show Vikings.
Yeah, yep.
That's the vibe that I get.
Had to have one.
Yeah, I don't like them for the same reason I don't like the Varg Lord.
It's just their heads. Yeah, I can kind of see it more in their heads compared to the Vogny Lord for design.
Yeah,
but I still don't think they're bad. They're not like super great. Oh my god! Can we talk about the daddy Jotnar?
Yeah.
All right, tell us about the Mountain Jotnar.
So the OG Mountain Jotnar is it's just so like there's been so much aesthetic drift from the early kits to this one that he looks kind of ridiculous. Like he's got the same like he's a hero scale model, but they've moved away from that aesthetic. And when you look at the other, like they had to, it's a similar situation to the Abomination, where I think they had to redo him just to bring him in line with the more mature aesthetic.
Because like the Icy Jotnar came out as an artisan series and looks fucking phenomenal. Then the Sea came out and looks like just as good. And yeah, I totally agree with you. They were like, wow, this Mountain Jotnar just feels bad.
Yeah, and the artisan Mountain Jotnar, like it's good, it does the job, but right now it's not so exciting that it gets over the hump of the Mountain Jotnar just being mediocre on the table. And it's just a little bit plain. That's my only real complaint there. Whereas at least with the crappy old Jotnar, he had like the tree face and stuff, and you had some options that at least made him a little bit. They gave him a little bit of character at the very least. But overall, he looks like the other Jotnar are brothers, and they all move into a house together to keep the OG Mountain Jotnar out of trouble. And it's a sitcom.
Yeah. Icy Mountain and OG.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the artisan Jotnar, like Icy and the new updated Mountain, these are like fantastic minis. I love all three of them. I like their scenic bases. I like what they're doing a lot.
So I will say, I feel like to some degree, PB has this problem where they make this game with these giant cool monster models, and instead of like really exploring that with a bunch of outlandish, fantastic models, they're like, well, what kind of just a giant half-naked guy can we put on that thing?
we haven't hit city states yet. I feel like they did good here.
I mean, it's fine. Like they look cool enough, but they are just a bunch of huge bald guys at the end of the day with different elemental themes. So
hold on. The updated Mountain Jotnar. I'm gonna click his fucking head. Has rocks coming out of his head. Yeah, he should probably get that seen by a doctor, actually.
Yeah, rocks aren't hair. Moss ain't hair.
Are you into tall, naked, ripped, bald men? Well, let me tell you about Nords.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you're into, then you're gonna do well here. But it's fine. He's definitely a huge step up from the old Jotnar, so credit where it's due. But if I'm spending $150 on a giant guy, I want it to be like a dinosaur or maybe a big scorpion, maybe a huge bird I'd be into as well. A tree person, crazily enough, would excite me.
Sounds like you're going to go play Halflings in Blood Bowl now.
Yeah. Those in Dweghom, that model that's coming out that's just a mech, that's what we're talking about. You know, that's the money.
Yeah. The Stoneforge. Can't wait for that guy to come out.
No.
I do think Nord's design is much better than 100k Spires and Dweghom. Like they have a lot to pull from, like lore and historic wise and mythology, and I think they do a really good job. To be honest,
it's a small pool that runs deep, and that's where I think the strength is. Whereas a lot of other factions, they go wide in terms of aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes less distinct. But because they were just like, yep, these are the Vikings, and they're really just the Vikings. It doesn't get there's a a purity of design that comes with that they can leverage. So I think that's fair.
Oh man, you get to talk again.
I do, but I'm wondering if at this point, because we have only done half of the factions and it's already getting late.
Should we save it?
Yeah, I almost wonder if we should make this a two-parter.
Yeah, but sure. Let's do a two-parter. If you like scenarios, because we got Madroon, Old Dominion, City-States, Sorcerer Kings left. So that's 4, and what we just did. We just did 4? Yeah, okay. Let's split her.
I thought we were going to whip these out, but actually it turns out I have a lot to say. So.
No, I'll be good. We'll come back with Madroon next time. So
yes.
Listeners, thank you for listening to the first half of our, I don't know what to call this, models, like Parabellum's model aesthetic or minis aesthetic.
Yeah.
Two-parter episode.
Critique.
Yeah, the minis critique. What else? Oh yeah, I was supposed to plug stuff. we're podcasting well. So, for the listeners, BonkTable has a Discord. You can find the link in the description below. We also have a YouTube channel with a bunch of battle reports, and you can find these podcasts there, wherever you listen to podcasts. Cassandra has a Twitter. You can bother her there. And I think that's really it. So if you want to talk about their aesthetic or, anything, you can leave in some comments on the YouTube. I'll reply if you want to come and join the BonkTable Discord and talk to us kind of more directly there. You're more than welcome to. And I hope everyone has a great day.
I agree with all of the above statements. Good night, everyone.
Bye.